very happy to see you all here. We see some familiar faces and some new ones, and this is very exciting. So thank you all for being here and being part of the Minors Entrepreneurship. No, I'm sorry, Minors Pitch Competition fall semester. So right now, I want to introduce Michael Delby. He will be giving the welcome remarks. Thank you.
Well, hey, welcome out to everybody. Thank you very much for coming out to our minor pitch competition. So I'm Michael Delby. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Commercialization, Entrepreneurship, and Economic Development at the University of Texas at El Paso. Good to see all of you here. Great to have this opportunity to kind of celebrate entrepreneurship here in the university. So the Mike Boyce Center for Innovation and Commerce is our entrepreneurship center for UTEP. It's the opportunity for students to learn more about entrepreneurship. They may come in with very little knowledge whatsoever. Have one opportunity to teach them about entrepreneurship, to receive resources and training on entrepreneurship, and support and connections in entrepreneurship. So it's the Loya family, their endowment made it possible, and it's a great benefit and center for here for the university. That primarily is here to serve our students. Undergraduate, graduate students, helping them to kind of better understand entrepreneurship and how to start up a company. So that's what this is all about here. So thanks first off to all the competitors. I want to thank them. It's never easy to get up here and do that kind of thing, but it's a great experience and great learning. Want to thank our judges, and I will introduce them for our today's competition. So we have with us first Dean John Hajamarco. Thank you. Who is the Dean of the College of Business. Libby Fidel is with us. She's here from Albuquerque. She's with Roadrunner Venture Studios. So, okay, we got Aaron Cervantes, who's with us from the College of Engineering. And Sergio Grove, who's here with us from the College of Business Administration as well. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for taking your time and doing this today. We appreciate your knowledge and insight. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You guys usually aren't. And provide a little bit of guidance and direction too. You can be a part of this as well. It's a learning experience more than anything else. But there are some great prizes. There's some great opportunities here. And so we want to go on and give a little bit of moment to introduce our competitors. So let's see. When I say your name, if you're here, and everybody might not be here at this point in time, but let's see. Let's start with, I think I've got it in order here. So first up, Samaya Mohammadi. Here, thank you very much. We'll introduce everybody first, okay? But good, thank you very much. I love your enthusiasm. Okay, great. Jocelyn Acosta. Jocelyn Acosta. Good, okay, you're back to that. Let's see, Cody Torres. Thank you very much. Let's do race course. Luzalena Sanchez. Fernanda Sepulveda. Madeline Jones. Did I say Madeline Jones? Okay, did I get everybody? Alexis Bedoy and Eduardo Caballos. Yes. All right, great. Well, thanks. Again, congratulations for applying, for being a part of this, for taking the time and doing this. This is a great learning experience. We want it to be something exciting and fun for you. So don't be too nervous up here. It's a great opportunity to learn and grow, okay? So without any further ado, oh, you know what I need to do? I need to thank Carla and the entire Mike Boyce Center staff. You see them in these super cool t-shirts they have on today. But they're the ones who actually make all this happen. And without our graduate research fellows and our undergraduate students that help us at the Boyce Center, there's no way we'd be able to do this work. So let's give them a big round of applause for all their help.
So let's get this party started. I want to introduce our first competitor, Somaye. Could you please come forward?
Hello everyone, my name is Somalia. Today I'm gonna.
Just a moment, let's make sure.
Hello everyone, my name is Somalia. Today I'm going to talk about nanopure detect, which comes out with my research in YouTube.
Technology every time.
All of us every day drink water at home, university, work, school. Even kids drink water every day. Have you ever heard about PFAS? It's a man-made harmful contaminants, and that has been linked to cancer and other health issues. And it's a man-made chemicals, and they don't, degrade naturally. So they are really persistent, and because they are used in everyday products like non-stick cookware, they are widely spread. So it's really important to find a way to detect of them. Over 80% of US land have reported PFAS concentration in drinking water above proposed limit. It shows we are faced with a serious problem and we need to find a solution for that. Nanopure Detect is not just an affordable and handy device. It's a highly sensitive device that can be used for PFAS detection. And as you can see here, it can be used for water treatment and for industry monitoring and environmental protection. And its sensitivity is 100 to 1,000 higher than available conventional techniques. Our target markets are water utilities like El Paso Water and environmental agency like EPA, WHO, and the Department of Homeland Security, and military sites that there are over 4,000 sites in US. According to this image, US water testing equipment market is growing consistently because people and organizations need to ensure the safety and water quality. And according to this picture, you can see the benchtop market has a bigger part, and but both benchtop and portable market, demand for both of them is rising. And the market is expected to grow by 5.7% by 2013. That shows it's a great opportunity for business in this field. According to this, you can see the total addressable market in worldwide estimates at $7 billion, and serviceable available market in America is $2 billion, and serviceable obtainable market in US is $60 million. So to compare nanopure detect with available commercial techniques, it's 10 times more cost effective, easy to use, monitoring time of this technique is 20 times faster, and it's portable, and it has a low-cost monitoring, and it has access in remote area. That is really important. And for development of nanopure detect, we are supported by internal and external funding. The University of Texas provides us with crucial resources, and we are funded by U.S. Department of Agriculture whose mission aligns with our goals for improving the quality of water. And this is our team. I'm a PhD student. Over 10 years, I have experience for designing nanosensor for detecting environmental contamination. And this is my advisor, Dr. Sharifan. He's expert in environmental fate of PFAS and water quality and remediation technique. Thank you so much for your attention, and I will take if you have any questions.
Okay, I will start the process. You showed us a device. Is that available?
Yes.
The device that you showed us in the picture, is that currently available? That one. You developed that device.
We didn't prepare this kind of things yet, but we have planned to prepare it. But we did some parts about the sensitivity. We want to just prepare the portable part of the equipment. We have this part. We prepare this part. We want to just assemble it in this device.
Okay. You mentioned detection and treatment. Will it detect and treat the water at the same time?
It's just for the detection of
Okay.
PFAS in drinking water.
And your target market is consumers
It's
to do the testing at their house?
this kind of contaminants there are in drinking water, and we put this device inside the drinking water, and it absorbs on this fluorescence chemicals on the tip of this device, and we use it for measuring PFAS.
Okay. So let's say I'm a consumer, I buy this device, I detect these bad things in my water, and then?
And then it can remove that contaminants from water too. It makes water safer.
Okay, so it's detection and removal.
Yeah, detection and removal of the contaminants.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Sergio. I have a question for you. Do you have any patent pending or anything like that for this advance?
Patent?
Patent pending, or did you register this intellectual
Not
property?
yet, but we.
Why?
We write the paper, and we are waiting for some computational analysis and have all data together, and after that we have planned to write a patent.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm a little bit curious about how you got to your price point and what is the pricing strategy. You mentioned that the current way to test for PFAS cost about $200, but yours is about $20. And your advantage is that you're able to do it in a portable manner, and it's faster. So if your device is better, why is it cheaper? How come you got to $20 instead of $250?
It's because of the maintenance of the equipment. We are using the fluorescence, and the equipment is much more cheaper than HPLC, maintenance of UPLC mass, and they need some solvent, but we use very small amount of this absorbance for designing this portable
So for your customer, it's valuable to be able to do the test on-site
Yeah,
and to be able to do it faster, right?
yeah.
Why would they pay less for something that is of more value to them?
Because of the chemicals we use for synthesizing this and for assembling, I'm sure it will be much more cheaper.
Let me do a follow-up, sure. What he's trying to say is that your product, the way how you're presenting it, is better. The fact that it costs you less to manufacture it, it doesn't mean that you need to sell it cheaper. See, so what he's, right, that's where you, what he's saying is, it's, yeah?
I'm sorry, it's the price per sample analysis, it's not the price of our product. We didn't talk about the price of our product, our device. For per sample, we need to spend, for example, $20. But for HPLC mass per sample, it's $200.
Correct, but they can do it on site.
Yeah, but
An immediate result, why are you going to charge less? You're selling something better. You don't need to sell it cheaper. See?
yeah.
It's not cost competition. This is intellectual property. It's differentiation.
Okay, I'm gonna, Lydia, you have a question?
I was just gonna ask, is this a one-time use product? Are you gonna sell it in packs?
I'm thinking about using these chemicals more than one time. You know, we need to deabsorb these chemicals and use it again and see the efficiency decrease over time or no, over using it.
So you can
Because-
regenerate this
Yeah,
then?
because we didn't, use it, like this. We just synthesize this part and we are using this part. Yeah, but the next step is assemble as this and use it in real material.
Excellent, thank you guys, thank you very much. The faculty is saving by the bell here.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Now our next participant is Jocelyn Acosta from Rocky's Bakery. Please come on the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jocelyn Acosta. I'm 19 years old, and 4 years ago, I adopted my first dog named Rocky. And just like a quick raise of hands to the audience, does anyone here have any pets, dogs, cats, birds? See a lot of people. Okay, so even if you don't have your hand up, you do understand that only 58% of El Paso already have like a lot of pets. And as we can tell, like the first thing that comes to raising a pet is always going to be their health. And my issue with my Rocky was he has a food allergy to egg. So I have to constantly check what treats to give him, what food and everything. And this comes to the idea of Rocky's Dog Bakery and Pet Store. So of course I kind of already touched on the problem in which honestly taking them to the vet, pet insurance, it's always going to be above $700. And the solution I kind of quote on myself is some treats that I've made. So I have some samples. They're kind of already packaged, and of course some slides that we'll discuss later on. I mean, they do come with 5 simple ingredients. So it's always going to be carrot, banana, xylitol-free cream cheese, golden whole wheat flour, and honey. So because of these ingredients are super safe to consume just for us, but these are also safe to consume for dogs as well. And then of course here's just some customer feedback because we kind of want to make sure our product is actually loved first. And then of course, since we are business people, we have to look at the industry. So the industry, especially the past few years, have been booming from $150.6 billion in US pet industry expenditures. And I would like to add, in 2020, because of the pandemic, I mean, pet ownership had just a huge boom, like a huge increase. Which leads us into the market. So we are number 8 of Texas most spoiled dogs. It's crazy that 58% of Texans actually prepare homemade dog food or dog treats. As well as like we are going to focus on the $66.9 billion this year alone for pet food and pet treats. And then of course in the marketing demographic, there's 800 dog makers here in the US, and it all started by the same problem. Their dog has a food allergy. Which is in the US households with dogs, I mean, 45% of US already have dogs, so that's crazy. I would say 5 million estimate. As well as for El Paso households with dogs, 44%, which is a steady 300,000 of households. And then my plan of execution, which I'm going into by 3 phases: e-commerce, mobile food truck, and brick and mortar, which I kind of call it the future growth plan because this is after the business is actually like fundamental, it's going on and everything. So winning this pitch competition, this is where all of the money would go into. I kind of made like a little brief summary, which I provided on the brochure. So of course, $800 of inventory, everything, it's enough to keep me in operations for 2 years. As well as for, let's see, the second phase of finances, which is the mobile bakery truck. This is kind of like used as a marketing demographic tool, not just to promote brand recognition and like just going to events and everything, but it's used more like if I sell more on the west side than on the east side, then I would open up the brick and mortar on the west side. So I'm not going to get too much into the third phase for now because, like I said, this is a future growth plan estimate. And then for the customer POV finances, this is kind of like what the customer's gonna see, what they're gonna buy. So one treat is for $4. The only risk is that I am the only entrepreneur, so all like sales is gonna come back to me. So it costs me $2 to make one treat, $4. It's already 50% profit margin, which leads to 9 treats to break even a month. And then, of course, like I already covered. And of course, we're gonna sell more in like bulk or like well, yeah, of course, like I said, package bulk and everything. So that would be like a package for one. And then, of course, the business model, which I can't get too much into with time, but I did provide a slide on the brochure so it could be more clear and any questions for the end. And yeah, if you have any questions about my business idea and everything, please feel free to scan this QR code. It has all my contact information and like anything about the business overall. But overall, thank you.
Thank you. You mentioned that you have 800 competitors out there. What sets your product apart?
My product mainly focuses on allergen-free. So what I'm gonna go back to the business model. Specifically here in El Paso, we only have 3 dog bakeries, not including the corporate chain. And they all focus on sugars, artificial flavors, so things that's like, oh, I could give it to my dog, but it's not really safe to consume. So my legitimate product is like the allergen-free part is kind of what sets me apart. And I think since I would like to say that 58% of the Texans making their homemade food, that's good, that's gonna be my unique value proposition.
When thinking about scaling your business, do you want to scale it outside of El Paso? What's the ceiling?
Oh yeah, so with the e-commerce, of course, it's gonna be like maybe nationwide. I mean, it's not just gonna be El Paso, like, oh, like there's a little like dog bakery, so of course that's where the finances of like, I've added in the brochure again. It's gonna be like $5 of shipping and packaging. Yeah, so it's going to be just customers outside of El Paso, and that's kind of where the e-commerce part is, so it's not just like brand recognition, it's also for marketing, and just kind of like, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So as long as you know someone that's like, oh, you know what, I do know a local dog bakery, this will be kind of like the answer. Does that kind of solve your question?
Oh. Do you have any sales? Have you run any pilot? I mean,
This is on the ideation stage. So I haven't legitimately went out there and actually promoted yet. I've had this idea. I've been working on the legitimate product and the research, I would say 3 years ago. So, I mean, this is kind of where the pitch competition kind of puts into play to actually get the funding from it, to actually go and start making in bulk and promoting and everything.
but my question is more than doing it in bulk. Why not Twitter? Can you do this at your place as a pilot?
Yes, so one unfair advantage that I really have is that the Texas cottage food laws, you can make in your kitchen, no licensing. So yeah, I mean, yeah, so like I said, it's just gonna be just me. I'm gonna make it in my own house and of course just ship from like my local mail and everything.
So Jocelyn, let me ask you a question because I think there's a lack of context when we talk about the problem. So you mentioned, you gave us a stats on how many people are dog owners and things like that. Out of those dog owners, how many of them, or what is the rate of incidence of having food allergies?
Oh yeah, okay, so I didn't mention up there just because of time, but it is 32%, and that's the American Pet Product Association statistics. So that's basically where all the, like the industry, the market, and all of the numbers are kind of put into. So it's 38% of specifically U.S. dog owners that do have dogs with food allergies.
Okay, and out of the 150 billion that the food industry, the pet industry represents, how much of that is actually spent on food allergy food or food specialty?
Yeah, so for the same website, it's going to be like 800 million, which is still a lot for a small business, especially starting out. But yeah, I mean, everything is in the American Pet Product Association, and I want to say, I'm not too sure about the other website, but yes, it's around 800 million that dog owners with allergies can kind of spend into like healthy organic food or treats specifically, because I mean, yeah, we always kind of have to give our dogs like kind of like the best that we have, and there's actually a lot of dog food brands that are kind of like getting more out there recently. I would say like the Farmer's Dog, that's another local healthy organic dog food. So yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Can I ask you one question? So, did you say Rocky's your dog?
Yes.
Is he testing your traits?
Yes. So
Is
it's,
he still alive? Yes?
yes.
Okay. So you're not a vet. How do you know that any other dog would not be allergic to what you're creating?
Yeah, I actually have like a group of team members, and one is actually studying in vet, and he's all the way in the back. He's basically my primary source of information of what dogs should eat, and then we kind of go to his veterinary lessons and everything. So that's kind of like the legitimate of what dogs should eat, what dogs shouldn't, and then of course it's going to be like custom ordered or like accommodation. So it's like, oh, let's say my dog can't eat like xylitol-free cream cheese, and of course we'll have to implement that. So it's kind of just like a lot of like variety. The treat itself is kind of like a blank canvas, so you can kind of play with it and still make sure that it's safe to eat, especially up to like the pet owner's expectation.
Great, thank you.
Good job. Thank you very much.
Now our next participant is Cody Torres in AI in Arms.
I just make sure it works right. Hi, My name is Cody Torres, and I'm the founder and lead designer here at AI in Arms. And with me is some of my team members, Diego Cortez and Ariel Evans. Unfortunately, some of my team couldn't make it today, but their names are Richard Fuentes, Alan Alba, Elian Huerta, and Aaron Lopez. And it's a pretty big team. You can see that's what our product can do. Artificial intelligence is the future in the prosthetic industry. EMGs themselves have been implementing prosthetics for decades, and the system itself is, even today it's slow, it's a bit outdated, it's cumbersome, sometimes it can be uncomfortable. With object detection, we can be able to remove that system and be able to create a more quicker, faster, smarter technology while still providing the advanced features in prosthetics today, and also keeping customizability and tailored to our users' individual needs. Prosthetics are very fun. I spent a lot of time on this team. It took about 3 months of development because of school. As of right now, with everything we did, we can actually create 2 of these products fully working in a week, actually. When I got into this was because I have a friend growing up that was into prosthetics. He needed one. Unfortunately for him, it was $8,000 and he couldn't even do anything. For the price of that not working, we felt that there was a way around it. And a lot of that has to do with insurances and how to work around that. So we feel that with the object detection, we can work alongside hospitals, and which we're trying to get in touch with right now with Las Palmas, Hanger Clinic, and the VA to see with medical professionals and engineers how our system can be put into actual existing products or things that we create on our own. But don't just take my word for it. We recently conducted an interview with somebody who got a prosthetic in the last 2 years. While they said that they loved their prosthetic, unfortunately the time it took to get one was a little bit disheartening for them. They felt that the EMG test took a little bit longer. They expect their results to be a lot faster, but unfortunately with the technology today, there's a lot of poking and prodding with some of these EMGs. And myself, I'm afraid of needles, and we think our users deserve something a little bit better than that. We also spoke to a research professor who specializes in EMG sensors, and he talked a lot about these EMGs. He loves them, but then, like any good researcher, he says that he hates them. And for the reason that we're talking about is they take a long time. There's a lot of time-consuming work for it to get accurate results and proper muscle flexion in that system. But while AI is our biggest core in this business, AI in Arms also specializes in the 3D printed prosthetics section. Halloween is right around the corner, and myself, I didn't have time to make a costume. I'm sure some of you might. But a person with a prosthetic might not have a prosthetic that will fit their costume. So for example, for this Halloween, let's say a kid wants to be Iron Man. Well, with our team, they can get a prosthetic developed straight from the movies in about 2 weeks' time and ship it out to them as a fully developed prosthetic, or be able to 3D print the DIY project and send it for our tech-savvy users. In doing so, we're able to fully do it virtually from the comfort of their own home, instead of having for them to travel an hour, 2 hours, wherever they're located. And we're trying to promote this through social media outlets to reach users not just in El Paso, but around the States and maybe eventually around the world. Now, let's talk about numbers. I know that's why most of you are here. In 2023 alone, 3D printed prosthetics have reached $1.4 billion and are expected to increase in 2030, 7.7%. And in 2024, prosthetic manufacturing in the US has hit $1.7 billion, with upper limb prosthetics hitting 4.6% growth. With this growing market, we feel that AI integration itself is an amazing thing to tap into. That, like we mentioned, hospitals itself, everything relies on insurance these days. And by talking with them and engineers, like we mentioned, getting this into there in this growing market can help really provide a future for prosthetics in the industry and getting people out the door a lot faster with a starting prosthetic. Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So, who are you expecting to pay for this prosthetic? Is it the insurance company? Is it just the customer who needs it?
At the moment right now, we're looking into how insurances work with the prosthetics. Is like we mentioned, we want to get in touch with Las Palmas and Hanger. At that point, if the insurance is able to fully cover it, we want the insurance to fully pay for it. But if not, we're trying to figure out on a consumer basis what people are actually paying for prosthetics. As of right now, advanced prosthetic systems cost around $20,000 to $80,000, and just for a cosmetic prosthetic that doesn't have any of those features is around $5,000 to $10,000. So we're trying to keep it in that price range and see from there how we can afford that for them.
Can you discuss the competition a little bit and how are you different from any competitors out there?
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
I didn't understand your question.
Are we different than competitors? Okay, well, I'll do that, sorry. From the different competitors in prosthetics themselves? Well, in prosthetics themselves, like we mentioned, they're using EMG sensors, and as of right now, AI is brand new. It's advancing every single day. I mean, just a year ago, we didn't expect to have something like ChatGPT or AI recreating voices, so the system itself is very unique. The closest we've seen with the companies is that they use, instead of an EMG sensor, they use a wraparound sensor, but it still requires a bunch of setup. With object detection, we're trying to remove that entirely, and all that it would take is just them getting fitted for the prosthetic. Or they have a prosthetic fitted, we can sell them the AI itself into their company.
So talk to me a little bit more about the technology, about the integration of the AI into the prosthetic itself.
Okay, perfect. As of right now, I mean, due to funding issue, this came all out of our pockets. I wish we had that $1 billion, but right now we're using Raspberry and Arduino systems to be able to communicate with object detection. The way it works is that, let's say they see a water bottle right here, the thing will read it. We have a library already trained for it, exactly like this. It'll recognize it, and then it'll already tell the sensors exactly how to go ahead and grip it. From there, obviously there's complications, there's challenges when it comes to AI. Latency issues and updated things. Let's say Chick-fil-A comes out with a new bottle that looks like a cow. I mean, how do we do that? The way we're going to do that is being able to upload our patches and systems into these AIs in the future with models hopefully once a week, we'll have several models from different companies out there to prove that.
Okay, my question, do you have any implementation plan? Have you received funding? Are you in a seed stage? What is your stage as a company?
Right now, at this stage of the company, we were just in our demo type, just to prove as a proof of concept that it does work. Like we said with the interview we conducted, first we didn't mention anything what we were providing at first. And after his interview, we had showed him exactly where we were. And he says that he's very interested into further looking into this company once it gets started. For funding-wise, like I mentioned, nothing has been provided to us. We've just been doing anything that we've gotten from outside work.
So you have not go, for example, to search for incubators or venture capitalists?
Not at the moment.
To them?
No, sir. Not at the moment. We're looking into that as of right now. Right now, like I said, we barely finished this product fully about 3 weeks ago. And then from there, we've been looking into companies on how they get started and where to get those loans and for the businesses to start.
What does the power supply look like? How long can you use it?
So theoretically, we decided to go with a lithium-ion battery pack, and the way the system was meant to work, theoretically again, it's meant to power at least up to 6 to 10 hours, and recharging is going to be within the 10 to 12 hour range, and mostly it's not going to be constant running. It does have to run the system, but it should take enough power to keep it, not having the user to turn it off, not having the user turn it on, just constant power usage.
The system itself will be set up with a rest mode to be able to power conserve it. So it can even last a little bit longer than that, depending on how actively they're using the prosthetic.
The very last question, do you have any patent application for utility? Utility patent application?
Oh, the patents. As of right now, we have no patents, but we are in talks with somebody who is in that business. They said that starting off right now, we have something that's worth looking into, and that we should really get on that. And after this competition, we were actually about to have a meeting with them.
Guys, it's just around $150 to put your patent pending, and that's going to provide you protection for a whole year. I will not keep teaching without a patent pending. And it's a utility patent. I don't think it's a design item. I think it's a utility.
We'll definitely look into that. Thank you so much. That's very important.
Very good, everybody.
Now, let me introduce our final participant before the break, and that is Zaira Calvario with Capital Tapes and Packaging.
right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zaida. I'm representing Capital Tapes here. Before I begin, I want to ask all of you a question. How many of you have a bunch of boxes piled up in the garage from Amazon orders? I mean, I'm guilty. So what I want to go ahead and do here is that we want to unwrap sustainability and we want to deliver success. What do I mean by this? Let me explain to you the problem of packaging waste. In El Paso City spends around $150,000 annually in a recycling program, trying to reduce a 24% contamination rate from cardboard boxes going to a random landfill. This problem represents impact in sustainability, and it also represents impact economically because we are missing a business opportunity here. From my experience, I currently own the business Capital Tapes and Packaging LLC. We have 2 locations, one in Chihuahua and one in Juarez. So from my experience, I saw this missing business opportunity and I wanted to go ahead and bring it to you guys so you can see that not only do we have a sustainability impact in El Paso and Texas, we also have this missed business opportunity. Why do I have the Christmas tree? So as you guys know, Christmas is approaching and we're going to be receiving a lot of packages and a lot of gifts, and more often than not, these cardboard boxes are going to end up being waste. So here we have 2 issues. 92% of consumers are starting to prefer eco-friendly solutions instead of just the regular packaging boxes or just plastic waste. And then we have the 24% contamination rate in El Paso. So what I want to go ahead and do is cut costs while meeting sustainability goals. I want to introduce to you the Reusing Box program. This program consists of 5 steps. First, we are going to sell high quality cardboard. We import all of our products from Mexico, from our Chihuahua location. And then we want to go ahead and sell those boxes to big companies. For example, in Mexico, we sell them to Walmart, we sell them to Hershey's, Krispy Kreme, just big companies that buy in bulk, probably from 10,000 to 20,000 boxes from each order. Then after that, we are going to collect those boxes, inspect them, and then clean them. We want to hire sorting staff. And then for the qualified boxes, we're going to resell them at a 40% off rate. Then the damaged boxes are going to be sold to recyclers. So it's a whole cycle. I would call this a circular model, a circular economic model. And then the buyer earns discounts or credits on their future purchases or contracts. For example, if we had a certain price for a contract, we can extend that time for them to have that same price. Some of the pros and cons. One of the cons that concerns me would be the need for ongoing education and training for actual or current customers. The pros would be that we are now in compliance with sustainability solutions. Now companies can say they're eco-friendly because they do have practical sustainable solutions that are incorporated in their operational costs. Our competitive advantage. We are directly competing with American packaging. They do lack the reusable models. Now, for Uline, they do have an extensive catalog, but they also lack the sustainable solutions, so we want to fill that gap right there with reusable, affordable, and sustainable packaging. These are some of the pictures of our warehouse in Chihuahua. We want to incorporate these products in the future with this program. For example, the stretch film and the tape. The road ahead, this is our timeline. We plan to launch the reusable box program, then expand operations so we can partner up with American or Uline. Then we want to increase our customer base by 30%, introduce new product lines, as I mentioned, the stretch film, the tapes, bubble wrap, foam, anything that requires packaging overall. Then we want to expand into major cities like Houston or Dallas, and we are expected to increase profit margins by 25 to 30%. Currently, we're managing profit margins from 60% to 130%. Some more pictures. And then this is how we create value. We want to cut the cost manufacturers by 25% to 40% over time. And we want to save 1.5 kilograms of carbon dioxide saved per reused box, so that's per unit. The circular model contributes to lower contamination rates, and for the first month of the program itself, it's just the program, it has a monthly profit of $13,330. And this would be all for the reused boxes program. If you guys do have any questions, you're more than welcome.
Do you have any economical analysis that let you know that your solution is more cost efficient than recycling? Because at the end of the day, most of the boxes from Amazon, the example you gave, right, are going to the blue can, right? And there's recycling, it has a cost. I mean, do you have any economic compare?
Yes, I do. So, for example, for the recycling revenue, if we buy 10,000 boxes in a month and we want to recycle those boxes, I'm talking about capitalizing on this opportunity of being able to make a sustainable impact. If we have 10,000 boxes, we are going to get $300 from 10,000 boxes. Now, if we implement this program, we are going to get $5,280. Go
How
ahead.
much is going to cost you to get those 10,000 boxes to you back? Because that's not going to be cheap.
Well, since we import everything from Mexico, we have a direct contract with the manufacturer. For those 10,000 boxes, 20,000 boxes, we are going to get them for $8,800. And then the revenue, for example, the profit margin is around 60%. So the revenue would be $22,000.
I think the question is more geared towards getting the boxes back from your customers, right? In that recycling sense. So what is the acquisition cost of getting the boxes back?
For each box?
Yeah.
Okay. So for each box, it would be $250 each month for the 20,000 boxes. To get them back, because it includes fuel costs, it includes the logistics. So those are the costs to get the boxes back from the manufacturer.
Okay, so you currently have a business operating in Chihuahua, right? So you're selling to Walmart and you sell them 20,000 boxes in a month. Talk to me about the operation of getting those 20,000 boxes back, and then how many of those can you actually salvage to resell 40 of, and how many you recycle?
Okay. So currently we don't have this program in Chihuahua, but we want to implement it here. However, if we were to have it, those 20,000 boxes that we provide to Walmart and then want to later get back would cost us the $250 that I told you, and 40% of the boxes would be reusable and 10% of the boxes would be recyclable.
You said that it's $200 to recover 20,000.
$250, to recover the boxes.
$250. In which period of time? That is in a month? So, do you realize that it's a person that's going to be driving that?
Yes.
And how much you're going to pay monthly? Because $250 a month is not going to be the
I
cost.
understand that's only for fuel.
It's not going to be the cost.
No. So the total expenses a month would be $14,930. Those are the total monthly expenses.
But you said that you're going to recover $5,000.
I'm sorry?
For 20,000 boxes, you said you're recovering $5,000. So every 20,000 boxes, you're losing 9,000?
No, because we sell new boxes and then we sell reused boxes and then we get also revenue from recycled boxes. So our total revenue is 22,000 and our expenses would be around 14,000.
From a CO2 standpoint, how far is your reach? When does it make sense to just recycle the box versus have so many CO2 emissions just from transport?
That's a a good question. So you mentioned that how many emissions does it take for it to make sense?
Yeah, I'm just thinking if I have a box, I provide it to a local recycling plant. That box needs to travel a much further distance, whereas if you're getting boxes from Canada, that's a really long way where you have to spend gas and emit CO2.
Okay, so for the recyclers, we are deciding to partner up with local recyclers. We don't want the boxes to travel all the way to Canada, for example. We were taking a look at a couple of local recyclers. That's how we got our costs and revenue for the estimated expenses and estimated revenue. It would make sense for me for the boxes to actually make an impact in 4 months. And I'm talking about the $150,000 that El Paso City spends in these type of programs. So it would make sense for me in 4 months that we would be able to see an impactful change in the city of El Paso. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Now, everyone, we're gonna have a short break. Let's do 20 minutes and we'll come back over here. Thank you. Okay, now, so welcome back, everyone. We're gonna start our second part. And now, let me introduce you to Ray's course and Artificial Intelligence Medical AIM.
So, hi everyone, my name is Ray Spores, and today I want to tell you about my venture, which is AIMS. So, this may be a lot to ask, but I want you all to imagine a world where misdiagnosis is a thing of the past, where hospitals and clinics can deliver faster, more accurate diagnosis, reducing hospital error, medical error, and improving patient outcomes. I believe this is possible with AIMS. But first, let's identify some problems. Mark right now. Okay, so inadequate care, long waiting lines, and costly tests and scans, which may be susceptible to human error in the medical field, especially in some specific locations, are ongoing and inevitable problems that the healthcare and hospitals and clinics face. And these issues fall into two categories: accuracy and time. But our solution is AMSys, and this stands for Artificially Intelligent Medical Assist. And what this does is it's an AI-powered healthcare diagnostic tool that is to be implemented into a hospital or clinic's system database and be designed to help analyze medical images such as MRI scans, CT scans, X-rays, and many more to assist with diagnosis accurately and within a timely manner. And how we do this is what's called fine-tuning AI. So if you take an AI algorithm, it only knows so much about certain things, such as OpenAI. It knows a lot about a lot of things, but when you fine-tune something, you really input information on a specific subject. So as medical schools do for their medical students and get them to learn the treatment and diagnosis of specific diseases, we plan to do this exact same thing, but with an AI. So our target markets, the two biggest markets that this falls under is artificial intelligence and healthcare. And to kind of zoom in and go more specifically, we follow for the medical imaging market, and this is kind of the actual sales that come from MRIs, CT scans, X-rays, and more. And then AI and healthcare, this is more of a concept. There is no idea, there is no definitive market for this yet, and it's fairly new, but it's projected to grow around the same rates as all of artificial intelligence, and that is around 37.6 compound annual growth rate. So for viability and sustainability. So to kind of define our business model and our source of revenue, we're selling to hospitals and clinics, but we're marketing to hospitals, clinics, and people. And I have a pretty interesting marketing strategy for that. But we plan to sell to hospitals as a monthly subscription and to clinics as a pay-per-use, because it's only fair. And so for this cost range, for example, if we're selling it for that much per month, those are our potential revenues. And you see, there are over 6,000 hospitals in the United States. What if someday we hit half? Well, you can triple those bottom numbers. And there are over 126,000 hospitals in the entire world, and you can kind of see where the vision for AMSys goes. But every is big has to start small, has to start somewhere. And we plan to start off with the market, and I'll get into that a little later, but costs will increase as aim assist develops, and as aim assist comes and has the ability to kind of diagnose more conditions and diseases, and has the ability to attack a plethora of different conditions, it'll just cost more. This is where capital go to. Majority of our funds would go to marketing, research, developing AI, or having the AI develop more advanced AI systems and AI servers. And then this comes to the biggest problem that AIM-Assist would possibly face, and it's what happens if it makes a mistake, what happens if it messes up, what happens if it fails, and who is to blame. Well, you see, AIM-Assist is designed to be a tool for physicians to use, not to substitute the place of it. And so where AIM-Assist can really take the blame is if a physician is too overly dependent on his suggestions and is careless to thoroughly review them. And for execution, so this is really tailored to El Paso, and when I was deciding to think of things to where it can be implemented to El Paso, I spoke with a lot of doctors, internal medicine, so they see a lot of adults and everything, and they said a lot of heart problems. But lungs it gets really tricky to narrow down and diagnose certain diseases, because it's actually kind of hard to determine the difference between a common cold, lung cancer, and pneumonia, if you can believe it, because they have such similar symptoms. And then our timeline, this is a broad timeline, and the reason I say this is kind of for the full potential of AIM-Assist to grow, because we plan to start with with the lungs or with certain things and get it into the market as fast as we possibly can. But this is what it will take a little bit longer, more developing, because we really want to focus on quality, the quality of our product, because we really value high-quality products. When you have a high-quality product for AIM-Assist, you kind of increase those success rates and decrease those failure rates. Then connections, I right now have a team full of 5 people. 4 of them are computer programmers. 3 of them are named Rob. I don't know if that's a computer science thing, but I myself am a part of a joint program with the medical school and have connections in there, and spoke with people who are interested in this idea and really want to actually start getting help out. And we plan to collaborate with nearby labs and hospitals. But ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be able to help people, to treat them, and be able to save lives. And I feel that I can do this on a much bigger, much wider scale with AIM-Assist. And I do believe that AIM-Assist has the potential to fit along right in with all the greats in the healthcare industry. Thank you.
What is exactly your product?
Okay, so, my product is an AI algorithm, right, that's fine-tuned to learn the same things as medical students to be able to diagnose and help treat diseases by analyzing MRI scans, CT scans, X-rays, various medical images.
So I read about this idea years ago in popular press. How is this different from all of the other similar ideas that are already out there?
Okay, so for AIM-Assist, we plan to tack on a regional approach, starting with diseases that are common with El Paso. But let me kind of explain how the competition works. Everyone who's doing this, because it's becoming a more popular field, everyone is limited, and they're limited to the advancements of AI itself. You see, earlier before, GPT-3 didn't have the ability to really analyze images with any detail, and then now with GPT-4 and 4.0, you get more detail, and then you can kind of build up and go from there. And then there is no real frontrunner yet. We believe we have the possibility, the chance to become that.
Personal health information is widely protected. How are you thinking about security? And on top of that, what does the regulatory landscape look like? Does this device need FDA approval?
Yeah, so it does. If we can go back here, these are some of the ethic considerations. So when you're going in and starting implementing and starting doing trials, you really need, the biggest emphasis is ethics and consent. And you want to access your electronic health records for people, and you do that by getting into contact with HIPAA, and especially if you want to enter different countries, EMA, Europe, and FDA, you need regulations and approval, and costs will have to go to that.
Who's your buyer? Who's going to pay for your thing?
Who's paying for this?
Who is going to pay?
Well, hopefully venture capitalists who like
No. Venture capitalists are going to help you to develop this business.
Oh.
My question is, who's going to be your buyer?
So hospitals and clinics will be our buyer.
Why not the manufacturers of the machines? Because manufacturers of these machines, they sell a whole suite that helps radiologists to do the diagnosis. See? So it could be an add-on for those. And actually that is also, if you're going to use VCs, it's going to be easier to access to that kind of buyers that way.
Definitely.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about your pricing strategy, right? Because you have a range between 5,000 to 15,000, but then how much is going to cost you to process images so that you can actually make a profit off of that?
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so well, basically, you don't necessarily pay per like each like unit or something that you can like sell to a hospital. You pay for building it, and when you start off with like a specific condition, right? It'll cost like several thousands of dollars for the research and for regulation approvals. And then when you build it and assist up and you start attacking wide ranges of diseases and conditions, then it really will cost a lot to start getting regulations and to start getting it implemented into the system, as well as research.
So this is a software as a service. You may want to look into Koikos. That's a company that I invested on, and they do basically what you're doing. And with the suggestion of my esteemed judge next to me, they basically incorporate these into ultrasound equipment, and that's basically what they're doing. But I think it's important for you guys to be able to understand that in order for you to be able to process, so if you're gonna sell the software application, right, and you're developing the algorithm, you're not gonna have the infrastructure to do the AI processing yourself. You're gonna have to subcontract that out, and every megabyte of information that you have to process is gonna cost you, and that's gonna be increasing exponentially the more images that you process. So if you're charging, if you have licensing fees between 5,000 to 15,000, right, how are you calculating the cost of the images and how many images you're gonna process so that your system is gonna be able to learn and provide a diagnosis? That's what you really need to look into so that it's profitable.
Yeah, definitely will. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
What diseases are you trying to target first? I assume if you approach all of them at once, you're gonna need to train a really big model with a lot of nodes. Do you have any idea also on the size of the model?
Well, yeah, so definitely plan to start with, like as I said, like diseases within the lungs because they have really high misdiagnosis rates, and that's something where there's demand right away. Really with the buildup of things inside the lungs. So tumors, when they build up, it's abnormal cell growth, and so when you look at images and it comes as little spots. But the same thing happens when there's a fluid buildup, such as in like pneumonia, for example, and with colds, there's still fluid buildup, but kind of differentiating between the two of those and abnormalities visual-wise with lungs.
I'm curious, what is your background?
What's my background?
Yeah. Science, is it
I'm a freshman here at UTEP, and I'm a pre-med student.
pre-med?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now let's welcome Madeline Jones with Hosanna Doula and Wellness Services.
Is it working? Oh, yay, you guys can hear me. Hello, everyone. My name is Madeline Jones, and I am the founder, CEO, and co-owner of Hosanna Doula and Wellness Services. I am also a doula, lactation educator, sleep coach for infants, as well as some other things that you can see right there. If I can make the clicker work. Do y'all know where I point this? There we go. So at Hosanna, our mission is to bring holistic healthcare into El Paso, mainly for women. So we target women in the preconception phases of parenthood when they're trying to have their babies, and we follow them along that journey into pregnancy, the postpartum period, and the time thereafter as they're parenting their babies. And we are unique in that we are Christian focused, and we focus on having the medical backing to everything that we do. So, who has never heard of a doula before? And it's okay, because I did it before 2020. Okay, perfect. So doulas are not healthcare professionals. So we're not your midwife or your doctor, but we focus on the physical, mental, and emotional aspects of birth because there's so many stakeholders in the birthing room, including the doctor, the pharmaceutical companies, and a lot of times women feel that they're being overshadowed by these dollar signs, and so they need us to be there in order to advocate for them. So this can be, for a lot of clients, I need to get my buttons right, I'm so sorry. So a lot of times our clients are first-time parents. They're really scared going into the labor room. Or they have translation difficulties because they're Mennonites from the border, so they speak German and we're able to give them that translation service so that they're able to understand what's going on in the labor and delivery room. They also strive to have natural birth. So a lot of times women are trying to avoid interventions such as Pitocin, epidurals, C-sections, and by us being there, we already declined those rates by over 55%. And of course, they're seeking faith-based support. So we are the only doula service in El Paso that is faith-based. Everybody else is secular, and so we're able to provide biblical-backed practices for our clients. And because there are so many stakeholders, right, we have our clients to go in, they oftentimes feel that they're not getting the education they need from their doctors or from their midwives, and we're able to fill in those gaps through both prenatal appointments as well as our Google Classroom, where we upload our own material, and we have over 50 resources available to our clients. They also have a lack of personalized care, so they feel like it's a one-glove-fits-all approach when they go into the delivery room, whereas we're able to find out what they want from these services and fit it to them. So our solution is, of course, the education that we give through our Google Classroom as well as the personalized support that we're able to do through our prenatal appointments. And as you can see, we offer a lot more than the competitors here in El Paso. So whereas they only have the one-size-fits-all approach to their prenatal appointments, we can really sit with clients and figure out what they want. Is it that water birth that you wanted? Did you want to give birth at home rather than in the hospital? And we're able to meet them in the middle. And here are some projections of our costs. So we are also very cost effective for our clients. So instead of having to pay about $30,000 per hospital birth, we're able to support them for about $700 in the delivery room, whether that be at home or at the hospital. You can also see that we offer postpartum support. We can do that up to 18 months after the baby is born. And most of these contracts are about 6 weeks with 2 appointments per week, and those last 4 to 8 hours depending on what the client's needs are. And we also offer fertility coaching and mental health coaching, but those are hourly based. And we know it works. There's growth. So we started off with 1 client in 2020, and by 2023 we had over 150 clients annually. And these numbers are projected to grow. As you can see, home birth is growing within Texas especially. And you can see that 55% of our clients choose home birth so that we're able to give them that support they need. But we also do hospital birth if that is what they'd like to do. And we are holistic practitioners. So we have about $38.8 billion that we're able to reach out to within Texas. And then, of course, the $7.5 billion in El Paso. So that goes anywhere from masseuses, chiropractors, and of course, doulas. And we are hoping to create a franchise. So by 2026, we're expanding our services to Austin, Texas, and Huntsville, Alabama. These plans are set, and we're looking to get our offices in there, and that's going to be between $800 and $1,200 a month that we're looking at. And we are also creating our own curriculum, and it has been tested on 3 students. We already did a pilot program, and we have 3 additional students that are looking to take our certification requirements or to be doulas under our name. But we'll need your help. We have a lot of costs that we need to cover within our business to make this possible, especially our licensure. So in order for us to be covered by insurance, we need to go through specific doula companies to be able to provide us the credentials in order to access things like TRICARE, Medicare, Medicaid. We also bring our own medical equipment, so the birthing pools that you see, we pay for that, and those are about $600 a pop, and after 40 times, we need to replace those. We also bring our own sanitizing equipment to clean everything, and just everything. So you can have a peanut ball, a birthing ball, and some doulas even bring IV fluids. And so through your help, we'll be able to expand our services so that we can offer more services throughout the country eventually. We need to network, so that would be our social media campaigns to reach more clients in these new areas, as well as new doulas that may want to train under us. And of course, support our clients, which is the focus of our business. So thank you for your support. I really appreciate it.
Thinking about recruitment, are there enough doulas in El Paso, or are a lot of the people you're bringing in inexperienced and you have to offer the certification that you provide?
So there are a couple doulas here, but the problem is 98% of doula businesses fail within the first year. So the fact that we're successful and able to platform them can really help them expand their services and make sure that they survive that first year. We would of course have a contract where they stay with us for 3 to 5 years just to make up for the expenses we're putting into them. But after that point, they'll be able to leave if they want, or they can stay, and of course we'll pay them per bertha stipend.
What are the expenses you put into them, and how long does it take to train them?
Right. So a doula can take 6 months to a year to train, depending on what credentialing you go through. So it's not like nurses or doctors where there's a board certification. Certifications are based off of the trust of the client. So does the client trust that platform to certify their doula? So that could be Doulas of North America, that could be Doulas International, and we would start a program like that.
I think you addressed the issue of certificate. You just did that. And the question, by licensing, what do you mean by that?
So we need to pay for our LLC for sure, and we got to make sure that we're able to do that for all 3 businesses. And I'm actually being trained right now to open up a pregnancy health clinic, so that means we'll also be taking on more medical practitioners as we continue, and we'll have to pay for more services, including well women's visits, making sure that the doctors are certified, that the nurses are certified, and all other people that we hire.
How about liability insurance?
Yes, sir. So we do have that currently. So we are 2 doulas currently that run it, and we both have liability insurance through Doulas of North America in case anything happens. But because we are underneath, let's say, the medical provider, they're more likely to get sued than doulas. Doulas are not very likely to get sued because we're not that medical practitioner.
Okay. Do you actually deliver babies?
No, sir. So I've only had one instance where I've had to catch the baby because the midwife was late. We don't do anything medical of the sort. There's something in the middle called a Voltrice, and those are individuals who've gotten some kind of background training, such as a nurse aide or a phlebotomist, and they're able to conjoin those services, but those are very rare.
How are your relationships with physicians?
Yes, so we do not work against medical personnel. It's not our job to villainize the doctors, and I think there's a time and place for medical intervention. So it's not up to us to decide whether a client wants to do a home birth or a hospital birth. It's completely up to them and the care team that they trust.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
2 questions.
Yes, sir, of course.
What are your sales in 2023?
So the sales, how much
Sales,
money?
because you mentioned 150 patients.
Mm-hmm.
What was the sale?
So for the majority of those clients, about 100 of them were birth clients, so we're making between $700 and $1,000 per those clients. But the majority of them had their services covered through the Texas Pregnancy Care Network, which we have worked with before. So we got an hourly stipend instead of that, which is why we changed to the full stipend rather than hourly this year. So we do not have those protections for this year, unfortunately.
Okay, so your pricing, the pricing that you presented is not really the pricing that you're...
It is for this past year, yes, sir. So it's for this past year. However, the previous year, those prices do not reflect it because they were covered by an outside insurance company. So we got paid between $20 and $50 an hour, depending on the client and the insurance that they were using.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manuel. Now let's welcome Lucelena Sanchez with, I'm sorry, I know you changed the name of your venture.
Yeah, you kind of rebrand.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Well, first of all, good afternoon. My name is Ms. Sanchez. I am 26 years old. I am currently pursuing my PhD in biomedical engineering here at UT. And I will kindly ask you to bear with me. I do have a bit of a stage fright, so this is quite a challenge for me, but I'll I'll try to do my very best. Today, I'm going to tell you a little story. So, yeah. So once upon a time, there was a 12-year-old who was having a really nice life, normal, right? But one day, the inevitable happened, and she got her first period. Everything was smoothly, everything was fine. But one day, this little girl went to her mom and said, "Mom, it's hurting real bad, and I don't know what's happening." Mom said, "It's okay, it's part of the process, you'll be fine." And she believed that. By the time this little girl was 15, she wasn't able to go to school because the pain was so bad that she couldn't get out of bed. She's 18 now. What happened? She's passing out from unbearable pain. You might say, what happened now? Where's this little girl? At 20 years old, she underwent emergency surgery due to a condition that was diagnosed in that exact moment. This is my story. When I got this surgery, I was diagnosed with a prognosis called endometriosis. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. If not, this is, thank you. This is a condition where basically it means that the tissue that should be growing within the uterus, is growing outside. And this has several repercussions on women's health, but one of the most important ones is pain. Really bad pain. By that time, it was obvious to me, okay, I'm getting pain because of this condition, right? But that was only half of it. I knew why. I'm having pain, sure, but why is it so bad? The levels are not making sense. Funny enough, when I was 24, I got to meet a doctor who actually told me, I think it might be worth going to the psychologist and then to a psychiatrist. Turns out that I was diagnosed with a little condition you might have heard of before. Anxiety disorder. This moment when I was with the doctor, she explained to me something really interesting. Apparently, when you suffer from really high levels of stress, what happens is that this can have repercussions directly to any previous conditions that you might have. Long story short, you have anxiety. This is worsening your symptoms, aka my pain. So I had my other half now. I knew why and what was making it worse. So as an engineer that I am, I came up with a little equation. Endometriosis plus anxiety equals pain. As easy as that, right? So now I know my problem and I know what my solution is, right? Or what I want it to be. I want it to not feel pain. How can I get there? My problem, endometriosis up to this day is untreatable. I can't do anything about it. But what about my anxiety? What if there's a way that I can, decrease it? And that way I can make my pain be less and less over time. But we're talking about something so subjective that how can you measure it? But what if you can't measure it? By the way, many of you might be thinking, why is this important? Well, guess what? 1 in 10 people with a uterus has endometriosis. 78% are misdiagnosed, and the average to get a correct and accurate diagnosis is 7.5 years. So a lot of people are suffering from these conditions. Scary fact that I found, actually, if we go for research itself about the budget that it's being put onto the research for this condition, it's less than 1% according to the NIH budget. You still don't believe me? Let's look at the numbers. Endometriosis prevalence worldwide, 190 million according to World Health Organization. Just in the US, up to 6.5 million. Anxiety prevalence worldwide, 300. Female representation, 70 million. So guess what? There is a 40% chance that a woman who suffers from this will get the pain. That is not a small number. Correlation? Definitely. What is my solution? I propose a simple, easy-to-use device for measuring cortisol, a stress hormone, to help women with endometriosis manage stress, and reduce severe menstrual pain through a spike cell. Current market. Some have heard, not enough. There are stuff like fitness or even an iWatch. They tell you about tracking heart rate and breathing. Not enough. It's not reliable. What about lab? You have to wait 3 days to get your lab results. This isn't a problem with us. If we compare all this technology with our solution, we can see we have a specific, portable, easy to use, and affordable device. This is just a customer feedback, just to show you how important it is that this current issue is not being taken care of, and how people are willing to pay for this. No one has really cared about the situation, which was the one that really stood with me. Market size, basically, I have to be realistic. I have to target it small size. So I would be focusing on Texas female population between 15 and 44 years old. We're talking about a population target with endometriosis of 1.1 million. And finally, to wrap things up, after this presentation, I just hope that now that you are aware that there is a situation, that there is a correlation, next time that you meet someone who is suffering from pain, you will think, instead of saying, she's just exaggerating, this might be happening. And you can think that this could be my wife, my daughter, my sister, even myself, and you might not even know it. So, I know this isn't a complete solution, but it's a start. And the start is all it takes. Thank you so much.
So, yes, I know. Okay, so thank you, great presentation, love the story, and I think that's a comment for everybody. Just remember, everybody's gonna remember whatever you present if it's wraparound story, so great job on storytelling. Let me ask you something. So tell me a little bit more about the technology. How are you detecting cortisol levels?
Sure.
And if that's the only difference in your tech so that you can tell me if I'm stressed or not. Like, so I have a smart ring and I have my smartwatch and they always tell me that I'm stressed and like I couldn't care less. And like, it doesn't do, they would tell me to breathe and it still doesn't change the fact that I'm stressed, right? So, one, you are creating awareness for the user, but that's a different thing from managing the stress. So tell me more about it.
So, if I understood you correctly, you want to know about the technology and the application of the technology, correct? Okay. So, the device itself, you can pretty much divide it into two sections. You have a sensor and you have a template where the sample from saliva will take the course, right? So, what I am offering as a product itself, that if you compare it to an iWatch, like you mentioned, as I said, they take vitals. They use heart rate, they use temperature, which you could say, yeah, when I am nervous or anxious, that happens. What if I'm exercising? The watch doesn't know that. How can I know? It's not reliable because it can be tricked to a certain point if you think about it. You can say, I can go to the lab. I can actually get a blood sample and get an accurate result, right? That's an option too. Yeah, but it takes 3 days to get it back. And you actually have to drive to the lab, give them the sample, which by the way, sometimes can be urine, but sometimes, most of the time, it's blood. I'm talking about sticking a needle. To be honest with you, I'm scared of needles, so I don't want to go for them. So I am offering you a friendly from the saliva. You have a sample that can be used and it's available 24/7. Easy to use, it could be at home. You don't have to send it to no one, no lab. Everything is done by the device. And that way I can create a pattern through the signals that I'm getting from my sensor. I can create a pattern, and that way I get an actual quantitative data from something that is so subjective that I can actually measure it. That way, when I have my patterns, if I'm the patient, for instance, I can say, hey, I didn't know that this is triggering the anxiety. I'm doing an activity that I wasn't even aware that is causing this. Now that I have my pattern, it can even go to your physician, for instance, a psychiatrist. They can have a quantitative data and say, okay, this is happening. You know what? This treatment will help you. And guess what? You have a better quality of life. And I'm telling you this because it happened to me, so I actually went through this.
So you have the device put together and it measured variations in cortisol levels. That's very simple, right?
Yes.
So why just thinking about people with endometriosis? This could be a diagnosis tool for psychiatry.
For several fields, definitely, yes. Yeah. This device actually has application for several fields. Right now, the reason why I'm focusing on endometriosis itself is because, first of all, it comes from a personal perspective, but also because I found this correlation that no one else has really seemed to find. So I'm targeting endometriosis with a really specific objective, to reduce pain. But of course, it has applications for ADHD patients, even industrially speaking, to work performance.
And in terms of accuracy and sensibility?
Sorry?
Accuracy and sensibility.
We are
false
aiming,
positive, false negative.
yeah, I mean, we're aiming to get the accuracy of what a lab result would be. Of course, we cannot be 100% like that, but yeah, it would be probably to an 85% of the accuracy for the lab.
So I want to follow up on his question.
Yes.
Cortisol levels measure level of anxiety, right? Cortisol levels indicate something about anxiety, nothing about endometriosis.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So following up on his question, why not focus on the anxiety part?
Just the anxiety part?
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, the device, focusing on the anxiety part with a target, which is reducing pain from this other specific condition. You can target anxiety and using this device to target other conditions, as I mentioned, ADHD, work performance. Right now, the objective itself wouldn't be just to treat the anxiety, but that has an aim in particular, which is reducing the pain.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, yeah, let me ask another question because so what is the main problem with anxiety? Is it that, we don't have a way to diagnose it or we don't have a way to treat it?
For anxiety or for the
For anxiety.
For anxiety. The main problem, as I talk to physicians, is that it's a subjective area. You don't really have a way to measure it. You have anxiety, and what works for you to feel better may not work for me. So that it's still a gray area that they're really struggling to diagnose. That's one of the reasons why sometimes it takes time to come up with the word anxiety. Sometimes even at our normal lives, we say, oh, I feel anxious, without even knowing what that word means.
Okay, and is cortisol the main biomarker to detect an anxiety event?
There are other biomarkers, but in terms of percentage that is correlated to the stress and the anxiety, cortisol is the best option.
To stress too.
Yes,
Similarly, something.
specifically for anxiety and stress. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosalina. Now, let's welcome Fernando Sepúlveda with Post 3D Print. 3D Print, sorry.
Hello everyone, my name is Fernando Sepúlveda. I'm the founder of Post 3D Prints, where we're bringing you a new way to 3D print. Oh, okay, sorry. All right, so let me tell you a story. A few years back, I bought my first 3D printer, and after I started doing my research, internships, and personal projects, I realized that I wasn't using my 3D printer as often as I thought. So then I decided, well, maybe I could use my 3D printer, print some items, and sell them to people. So that's exactly what I tried to do. And I had a problem because it was difficult to sell the items. Existing platforms were not very friendly, and some of them were just not focused on 3D printing. So I said to myself, okay, well, what if I create a platform with people that are focused on 3D printing, and you can purchase and sell items on the platform. So I saw that there was 21.1 million 3D printers in the US, commercial and industrial. So there are some drawbacks there. And I identified that there was a market cap and an opportunity cost because these printers were not being utilized to their full potential. Okay, so I decided to create a web platform where sellers may create their own platform or their own, their own page and then sell their 3D prints, as well as providing a place for users to enter and serve all of the 3D printed options that are available. And I'm mainly targeting entrepreneurs, avid hobbyists, students, and novel customers. So the platform is not meant to go after really expensive 3D prints, mainly more in the consumer item. So now you're thinking, how does this work? So there's two options. The first option is person can just log on, find an item that they like, and purchase it, and then the seller is going to make that item and send it right back to them as if they were in Amazon. And the second option is that a user may upload their own 3D model, and then those sellers may produce the model for them and send it back. Okay, so our business model is a commission-based model. We're going to take an 8% fee on each transaction, and there are other ways that we are looking towards making more money, which includes advertisements, memberships, and most importantly, data insights, which we can sell back to 3D printing companies as well as the sellers themselves. Here's a target which we are reaching towards, which is $12,400 a month. If we sell 100 models per day, take the fee, which is $4, and we do that for 31 days. Okay, so in 2.5 years, I have expected to reach the $1 million in sales if we grow at the expected rate. And we're expected to reach around 40,000 buyers and have each person buy 6 items per year. Okay, so our next steps. My next step would be to finish making the minimal viable product, do a soft launch, and as I get feedback on that launch, then I expect to expand my team and then see if we can implement some more features into the app and maintain that for growth. Thank you very much.
Is there an existing platform that you're trying to imitate?
Existing platforms such as this one, there is not.
Not for 3D printers, for other things.
There exists the Uber. You can have your car, which would be the 3D printer in this case. There exists DoorDash. You use your car as well to deliver the items. So there are some similar platforms. Airbnb is another one. There's some similar platforms which achieve the same style, but with a different market.
So how are you going to attract buyers to your platform?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
How are you going to attract buyers to your platform?
Well, the way would be to reach out to them and show them that we're bringing customers to them, reaching out to them, walking into research centers where students have 3D printers. There's a large Reddit community doing advertisements through social media, and I think that there's some of the market research that I've done, some that already have their own website. They tell me, well, if I already have my own website, why would I want to join you? And I'm telling you, well, there's no downside in joining me. It would just be another customer that I could bring to you. So that's how we would grow our seller base.
So the service you provide is really facilitating an exchange, right? You have the owners of the 3D printers, then you have the customers that are going to come in to buy 3D printed items.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct, yes. So I have 2 customers. One of my customers is going to be the seller. They have their 3D printer, they know how to operate it, and then they have their own models, which they upload onto the platform. And then the second would be the customer, someone who is just interested in buying a 3D printed model.
Okay, one last question. You started your presentation by saying you printed items and you wanted to sell them, but nobody would buy them. Why would people buy them now through this platform?
The reason they would buy it now is because they have it in an easy-to-use platform. So the main struggles that I had was being able to market as well as build my own website. If I go on to Etsy, I could advertise my products there, but it's mixed in between a sea of different items and other people that 3D print as well. So, you know, this would be a good option for having them just for 3D printers.
Have you talked to your end user, and do people care if their products are 3D printed? Do they care how it's manufactured? I think in my head it makes sense if I want something specific that no one else is able to provide, we can 3D print it. But for already made products from 3D manufacturers, what are your customers think?
Already made products, do you mean as in, like, for example?
So for example, if I print a cup
Yes.
that's 3D printed, why sell it on your platform? Like, do people care about the fact that it's actually 3D printed, or do they just care about receiving that cup?
They care well, mostly they care about receiving the item because it's not being manufactured in other places. It's because there's a uniqueness to the item that can be produced with the 3D printer. So they mainly focus on the item itself.
So, how do you, like, where are you getting the repository of STLs, right? So, for example, I have a Bamboo X1C, right? And I want to use, because I don't use it that often, I want to start printing for other people, and I see you fix the price of, for example, like a $50 purchase, right? I run the printout, and then it turns out that the STL, there's a match error, and almost at 90%, it fails. So that costs me money, time, and energy, right? So how do you make sure that I'm not being, basically screwed out on those things?
So the way for the STLs, I would say that's one of the problems I initially faced. I was like, where am I going to get as many STLs as I want to be able to sell? So then I said, okay, well, the seller has to provide their own STLs. If they don't have a good STL, then they're not going to be able to sell their product. Nobody is going to want to purchase the product. I don't think they would send them a faulty product. As well, there will be a feedback loop that I want to integrate. So if a customer receives a good product, they're going to write a good review into that STL. So that way the seller is going to go higher into the chain.
And what if they do sell them a faulty product? Like, whose liability is that?
That would be liability of the seller at this point. That's a good question, actually, but I would say it's the seller.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, last but not least, our last competitors are Alexis Bedoy and Eduardo Ceballos from Frontierless Cash.
Lou. Sue. Hi. Hi. Thank you for that. Good afternoon, everyone. I have a question for you. Who has family in Mexico? We do. So I'm gonna tell you a story about it. Last summer, I was working as a software engineer in Goldman Sachs at Dallas, Texas. And I sent money to my mom. I sent 19 pesos using, I sent 19 pesos through PayPal, and she just received 11 pesos.
She was in Mexico. This means 36% of my money was lost. Can you believe it? My name is Eduardo Ceballos. I'm a computer science major. He's my partner, Alexis Moreno. And today we're going to introduce Frontierless Cash, a platform that will help us to upgrade the remittances services over the world. But first, let's take a look at the data. 10.2 million of Mexicans are sending money from from the US to Mexico. There's actually an accurate data that says on 2024, there will be $65 billion just to remittances. This means there's an increase of people sending money. There's also, they are doing it more frequently, and for sure they're increasing the amount of those transactions.
So what is the current situation? Right now, a $200 transaction takes on average 7% on fees. This takes around 1 to 2 days, but this can go up to 7 days in some cases. They also lack transparency. This platform might tell you that they charge you $1 or $2 for the transaction, but actually they are taking a big portion of your money by the exchange rate that they don't tell you. So what is the solution for this? The solution is obviously lowering the fees and making transactions faster. How are we going to do this? With blockchain. We're going to use this also to create a better security system with machine learning model that we will feed over time. Lastly, we'll be very transparent with our customers always. They will know how much they are saving and how much their family will receive in Mexico.
But what is blockchain? Blockchain actually is a decentralized system that will keep track of all the transactions over a network of computers. And this gives us the opportunity to have cross payment from the US to Mexico. But you may ask, if it's that good, why there isn't any other company using it? And the answer for that is, they already do. There's a bunch of companies using blockchain. The thing with those companies is that they are most likely for traders, which is kind of complicated to understand when you're a customer. In our startup, our main purpose is to have the customer don't worry about those kind of things. And also, in the traditional, on the other hand, on the traditional companies, they are using banks, which means you're going to have an increase of high fees, and also it's going to have an increase of the time spent on it. And also, if you want to have cash, you need to pay more fees for that.
So what happens when someone receives the money in Mexico? We want to get away from banks and a decentralized system. So the best solution for that is partner with the other decentralized financial platforms like Nubank and Bitso that offer customers crypto wallets that are linked to a debit card that then they can go and use anywhere they want, and they don't have to worry about the exchange from fiat to crypto because this platform do it automatically. So we see this as a great partnership because 50% of Mexicans right now don't have a bank account. And we find a relationship between the people that receive the most remittances in Mexico, they're also the most unbanked. So by partnering with these platforms, we can offer better financial services for these communities while also lowering the fees and times on the remittances services.
Our implementation timeline will be divided into 3 phases. The phase number 1 will be the product implementation, where we're going to be developing the application, we're going to establish a partnership, and also we are going to establish the current conditional that we need to make the transparent currency. And also, the phase number 2 will be the beta launch. What means the beta launch? We're going to have the actual application working with some customers. But the main purpose of it is to feed the machine learning data. So in that way, we can have an accurate system. And the third phase will be the actual launch of the application. So in that way, we can take advantage of all the feedback and we can improve the application.
So what are our challenges? Our first challenge is compliance. To solve this, we will use smart contracts that are built into our blockchain system that allow automatic identity verification. Second is the high volatility on crypto. For this, we will use USDC, that is a stablecoin, that it doesn't have volatility because the value of this coin is pegged to the value of the dollar. Lastly, these machine learning models will need a large amount of data being uploaded into the system. So for this, we will use APIs and oracles to have real financial data.
Together, we can turn the remittances services into a force of financial empowerment. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so if I'm sending money to Mexico, I have US dollars. I need to then exchange it into some type of cryptocurrency to send to Mexico and then exchange it back into pesos? Is that?
That's the thing. The thing is that when you would, if you put the money into our app, we'll automatically convert that into crypto and we would send it to Mexico. We will do all that. You don't have to worry about that. And then that once it's in Mexico, you have different ways that you can get your money. And that's with any remittance company. Usually when you get it like PayPal, when you get your money into your PayPal wallet, you need to transfer it to your bank account. And that is another fee that they don't tell you. So that even charge you even more. That's why the best solution for that is partnering with these decentralized financial platforms, because they are targeting unbanked communities in Mexico, and we can give them more market share, because we are talking about $65 billion that is sent to Mexico every year. So they don't have to ever transfer that money into fiat, because the platforms will do it automatically. They have that built into their system.
And also, how do you expect to get paid? Usually there are fees so that you can make a profit. And also, when you're thinking about exchanging, the buy price is very different than the sell price. Are you going to take a middle ground approach there?
You mean for the crypto to fiat? For the exchange?
I'm talking if I exchange US dollars. If I'm buying US dollars back, that price is very different than if I'm selling US dollars to the bank.
The thing is that we are not converting directly from US to Mexican pesos. You mean because we're not converting from US to Mexican pesos directly. We're using crypto that use USDC, and this the value of the USDC and the fiat money is very similar, and we expect to have better terms with these crypto exchanges, because we are bringing a very high volume. So it is a better business for them and also a better business for us to lower the fees. And in terms of how much we're going to charge, we're going to charge a small fee. Right now, we're thinking about 0.5 to 1.5% of the transaction. That depends on the amount, because one of the best things that crypto has is that you can increase the amount of money that you're sending, but your cost doesn't increase. Your cost is still low.
How is most of the money being sent right now?
Excuse me?
How do people send money right now to Mexico?
I say the biggest platform right now is MoneyGram. That is probably the most popular. But as we were talking with one of our mentors, she said, "Oh, I send money to my dad in Bogota all the time." And she said they always charge me $2. But then we started talking about it, and she realized that it wasn't exactly that way, because they are taking a margin on the exchange rate. The dollar right now is, let's say, 19 pesos, and they take it at 17. So they're taking 2 pesos for every dollar that you send, and they don't tell you about that. So that's the current situation right now.
So your cost is going to be lower to send that money?
We expect it to have it lower, and as we are more efficient, we can lower this cost. And yes, in terms of the cost, our cost, we will have a lower cost, because right now this company like MoneyGram, they are completely dependent on banks. They have to pay for banks for the fees, for the funds they have in other countries and things like that. So we are completely decentralized. We don't have nothing to do with it.
So let me ask one last question. Why would anybody trust you with their money?
Why would anyone trust us? Okay, that's a good question. That's the biggest question, the biggest concern with crypto right now is the trust that they have on crypto. And we believe that it is about the technology that we're using. We're not using Bitcoin, we're using Ethereum. We're not speculating. That's the problem that most cryptocurrencies have. It's about speculation. USDC is not a speculation currency. The value is pegged to the value of the dollar. So that's some fluctuate. It is pretty much the same. It can fluctuate by 1 cent base, maybe, but it is not. It is the same.
Are you sure about the cost of sending money is that high? Because I pay my editor that is an American PhD in literature that lives in Thailand, and for every $100 cost me 4 or 5.
At that moment, I take a look at the transaction, and PayPal take the currency at 17, and the dollar was in 19.
But that is PayPal, right? exactly. But you have 100 competitors in the, so you're basing your economic evaluation only in payroll. So with that small experience, you think that the price is 17%. I think you should take
You mean 17% the price? I think
the cost of sending. I mean, how much?
The average cost of sending $200 from the US to Mexico is 7%. That's the average speed.
No, but we're talking about your competition, right?
Yes, the average right now is 7% for a $200 transaction. And this fee goes lower as the amount increases. So that's why we will do also. If you send a very low amount, we will charge
What's
more.
going to be your percentage?
Excuse me?
The percentage that you're going to charge?
We expect to have a 0.5 to 1.5%.
So I have a question, and I don't know if you have thought about this. What do you think is going to be your customer acquisition cost? So how much money will cost you to actually convince one person to switch to you? And then what is going to be the lifetime value of that customer, right? How long will they stick to you, and how much money can you actually make from one particular customer?
Yes, we haven't exactly looked at that because we're in the phase of acquiring customers right now, but that is definitely something that we have to look into. And I would say that the current data shows that it is a good idea to go ahead and build this price because the number of senders are increasing, the amount that they're sending are increasing, and the frequency that they are sending these amounts are increasing also. So we see a market that is huge and it's increasing. So it makes sense to try to go and get like 0.1% of the market share in this remittance service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, first off, when we're getting all ready here, again, a lot of thanks to everybody who's taken the time and the effort to be here. We appreciate everybody who's been able to do a pitch. I know that all of you had a good experience, and that way, hopefully you learned from this. I'm sure some of you will do other pitch competitions, and so this may be just your start here. So let's go ahead and begin, right? Third place first, right? Okay, so third place is race course with artificial intelligence medical. Okay, second prize goes to Cody Torres, AI in Arms. Congratulations. And first prize, please, goes to, just wait here for a moment, Luzalena Sanchez with Corticare. Thanks, Pete. Great to have you here. Thank you to our judges, first off, for taking the time and doing this, and appreciate it all. Give a big hand to our judges. Thank you very much. Thanks again to all the competitors. Thanks to Carla and the whole team who make this all happen. And congrats again to everybody who gave pitches and who were part of this competition. Remember the Michael Loyas Center for Innovation and Commerce. We're here to help you. We're here to be a resource and to really help launch the next stage with our entrepreneurs here in El Paso. So again, thank you very much for being here. Guys, have a great evening. Have a great weekend.